See, in the early stages of my life, I've understood that everybody wants to sell, but nobody likes to be sold. A person becomes consistent when you get to see results happening, even in normal life. You become extremely focused when you see things are working in your favor. In my journey, I have understood one thing, that it's ultimately the people. If they are happy working with you, results will automatically come. Work as a team, work as a family. At any given point, do not make them feel that you are their superior.
Welcome to the Revenue Architects Podcast, where we go straight to the source, the operators, the architects, and the trailblazers who are making revenue predictable, scalable, and accountable. Today, we have a special guest with us, Sushmita Patra, the head of Inside Sales and Growth Marketing Leader at Altudo. Altudo is a global digital customer experience company offering exceptional experience through one-to-one personalization, MarTech integration, and digital solutions. Over 6 years, Sushmita has built and led teams that drive real and measurable growth by combining smart strategy with a strong focus on clients and innovation. Today, she's here to share her journey and insights on how to lead growth initiatives to make a lasting impact. Welcome, Sushmita.
Thank you, Steve. This was a great introduction. Thank you so much.
Before that, can you give us a quick rundown of your background and how you got to be the head of Inside Sales?
So, my journey in sales started, if I look back 11 years ago. I started my journey doing sales and have been part of multiple companies, doing multiple things, multiple services, product lines. And then I ended up at Altudo way back in the year 2019. I started as a SDR manager, and then I was able to book really good meetings, create client conversations. That's how, in the journey of 6 years, I was promoted twice. And then they realized that I could be one who can grow the team. So I started as a solo individual, and currently I run a team of 23 people. That's it.
All right. We started in 2019, so we have a lot to discuss around the changes that have happened in those last 6 years. So in our previous conversation, you mentioned your forecasting buckets, tracking deal probability through stages. How has your approach to forecasting evolved, especially post-COVID with longer sales cycles?
So since COVID, our forecasting, we have made it like into three buckets. So the first is hopeful, commit, and upside. This has actually helped us to identify where the deal is in the current stage, especially keeping in mind that every deal that comes in, minimum takes 6 months time to get closed. That's the minimum. So not only we have put it into bucket, that we have also further put the deal into stages. The starting would be target. The moment the deal comes in, it goes under target. The salesperson takes a call, understand that if there is an opportunity, then it moves to qualification. Then it moves into presentation stage. Then it moves into sharing the proposal. Then if everything goes good, then we move into SOW stage. Further, it's the end stage is either lost or won.
And how did you develop those stages for your team as it's changed in Altudo? So what was it that drove the desire or the need for those changes?
That is because if we have so many deals coming in, right? To make sure that we are able to forecast the deal, it's important to put it into different buckets. The moment we put it into different stages, it helps us understand that what is going to get closed in this quarter. In fact, what do we have in the coming quarters? So if we do not put it in the bucket, or if we do not put it in stages, we will never come to know the progress of it. So the weekly meetings that we have with the sales leaders, it helps us talk about where the stage is. Where are we? Like, are we stuck at any given point? If yes, what do we need to do? So those stages actually helps us understand where the gap is.
What I was curious to know, Sushmita, is that has these forecast stages and the whole of this forecasting and sales cycle, has that changed, especially during COVID? Have you seen any of that impact, and how has it impacted you guys, and what adjustment did you guys do?
See, prior to COVID, things were a little different. Also, a lot of business did well, exceptionally well. The classic example will be us. There was a time during COVID when it was not certain, we were not prepared for it. So we were not sure about how things will move. But then the kind of strategy we followed, we doubled our business. From COVID until now, we are just exponentially growing. So in this growth, we definitely had to have a proper metrics so that we can evaluate the deals. That's the most important thing. So we hired someone who can help us design this entire flow in Zoho so that we can forecast it in the most accurate. See, everybody wants to have that number every quarter ready so that they can plan further. For our CEO, this is the most important metric, that what are we going to get in this quarter? So suppose if we have a target of say 30 million, we need to make sure that we are hitting this X number in this quarter. If we
Mm.
are not, we have to make it up in the upcoming quarters. So in order for us to have that kind of forecasting, it's important to understand where the deals are sitting in the current stage. If we do not know where the deals are sitting in the current stage, we will never be able to understand that what we are going to get, what the output is going to be. Now, imagine so many salespeople putting deals on Zoho. If we do not keep a
Mm.
track according to the stages, we will never get to know when it's going to get closed. So to make
Yeah.
sure that we are at the top of our game and we know that which deal is progressing where, it's important definitely to have a discussion around each stage which is progressing, whether it is from target to qualification, from qualification to again presentation, because every stage needs a lot of preparation. And for us to do that preparation, it's important that we have this conversation weekly that we do, align the right people so that we have the strategy to win, not only strategy to win, and then we can also understand that okay, this is a particular amount that we can forecast in this quarter.
So the second question I had was that in our last conversation, you did mention that the traditional outbound process that we all follow during COVID, you significantly changed that. And that is what I believe got you to 2x of revenue. Do you want to put some light onto it? What did you change and how did it impact your deal velocity and the ROI?
Absolutely. So prior to COVID, we were highlighting our services, vouching for what do we have to offer through different campaigns. During COVID, we understood that this is the time when people are in a state of mind where they are figuring out a lot of things. They might
Mm.
not be in a situation to buy, but they are definitely in a situation to understand what can be done with the
Mm.
current business that we have, with the current website that we have. That's when we thought that this is the time to shift from direct pitching to something like workshops where people will
Okay.
feel comfortable coming and talking. See, in the early stages of my life, I've understood that everybody wants to sell, but nobody likes to be sold. So,
Yes.
speaking from the
Mhm.
concept, when you do workshops, people are extremely comfortable because we talk about what are their challenges, what are
Mm.
they trying to achieve. And that conversation is extremely candid. We do not do any presentation, we do not bore the other party with any decks, whereas we are talking about our services, etc. So, it's a comfortable spot where the client is able to discuss and talk through every problems or pain points that they have. In this process, in this gradual process, when we understand, okay, this is where the problem is, we just talk about, hey, I get to see that this is where you are at the present moment. These are the things that we would suggest. And if the
Mm.
client feels comfortable and if they feels confident that, yeah, we are talking sense, definitely business will automatically flow. But this workshops actually helped us build amazing connections.
So what, if I paraphrase it, what you started doing is more of a value-driven workshops where you're talking about their problems and you're trying to give them the options of what are the ways the problems can be resolved, what have other customers and
Absolutely.
other similar companies might have done it, and you
Correct.
leave them to a stage where they can do it on themselves or they can seek help from you. You are not very
Absolutely. Yes.
pro-aggressively pitching to them. That's the, I think, major change you did. But one thing you said very good is that during these workshops, you have a great opportunity to build a relationship. And that, I think just instead of just calling it a relationship, I'll call it a trust. Because with a prospect, the first thing
Absolutely.
that we have to all build is a trust. This company knows what they are talking about. They have solved similar type of problems, right? I'm comfortable to now engage them or tell them my problem. I believe that is
Absolutely.
great. That is a great learning because a lot of companies are still doing this carpet bombing, right? Sending emails, sending campaigns, sending things, saying that let's see what sticks. But the approach you are
Right.
taking, I think, is making far more sense of let's do a value-driven workshops with the customers.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, I love that. So I want to get back into sort of the mechanics on the Altudo side. You've built a clear handover between the SDR and the vertically focused sellers. And then you said weekly forecasting calls, which is brilliant that you actually handle them weekly and hold them because keeping consistency is not always the hallmark of sales leadership. So kudos to you
True.
for that. Who ultimately, though, owns the revenue execution at Altudo? Who do you align decision making across the marketing, the inside sales, and delivery to make sure that you're being consistent in that execution of that process?
See, the best part with Altudo is every leadership team here is focused to get revenue. That's how we are growing exponentially, starting from the marketing head to the SDR head to every sales owner to the CEO. We all talk about what can be done in order to get more business, more revenue. So when it comes to ownership, everything is absolutely placed in a way, designed in a way that it is like just imagine things being automated. For example, every SDR is aligned vertically. Every seller is aligned vertically. And then those sellers also have that specific services that or the partners that they will cater to. The moment the lead is generated, it is passed on to the right sales owner. That's when the magic happens.
Awesome.
And are there any quality gates that you capture, saying that when the deal should be really passed over from a SDR to a field sales, because field sales is an expensive resource, and that is where many companies are very careful of what I should give and how. And so explain to us what signals do you capture, and how do you also capture saying that if the deal is pushed back, saying that this is not qualified, but you gave me, what kind of analysis RCA you do on those type of deals?
Jay, first of all, the space that we are in at present
Mhm.
is extremely niche in the service space.
Okay.
So the kind of conversations that we get weekly is not like we are getting 20 conversations in a week. We get close to say 5, 6 quality conversations every
Mhm.
week. Every seller is aligned in a way that for them sales call is extremely important.
Hmm.
Now they never push back into these calls. Reason being, we are not calling people that hey come and buy things from us. Every call that the SDR books is basically a workshop, which is like a pre-workshop call basically, which is for 30 minutes. So every seller is extremely happy to take those calls because either they will ultimately end up making amazing rapport, which will in the future get us business, or there will be existing problems that they will be able to discuss. So there is no pushback in the calls, and every call that
Hmm.
comes into the seller is definitely qualified based on titles, revenue, and industry.
So pre-qualified calls is what your secret sauce is, where I believe the
Yeah,
prospect,
pre-quali
the SDR is aligned. And so sales guy doesn't feel that, oh, what you told me is not what the prospect wants. That
Exactly.
never
So
happened.
the way we have designed the database is absolutely to the point. There are
Hmm.
no titles, there are no industries that we would not like to go after. So any call
Okay.
that gets booked from that data is definitely a priority.
So, what were some of the signals or learnings that helped you realize the traditional outreach, like using Zoom Info or Gong or something, wasn't working? And so, how did you get the mindset shift to get the results that you're getting right now?
Zoom Info, interestingly, we have been using from quite some time now. And especially we are into US industry, US market. So we need to have the right set of data. And this is one of the best tools that have come
Mm.
across. And then I thought, why not take the feature of intent as well? Definitely, all of us would like to know what's happening in the accounts.
Exactly.
That's when we invested a lot of dollars and we got to know that the problem is not that the information is not accurate. The problem was the information was backdated. By the
Mhm.
time you reach out to the client, that problem was already catered to. And this happened with us with multiple accounts because we had a dedicated resource only to go after those intent driven accounts. So sooner in a quarter we understood, in 3 months we understood that this is not going to help us. And when it comes to Gong again is a tool that is helpful for sellers because a sales call happens for minimum 30 minutes. So they can record the call and tell you the gaps or the bridge. But when it comes to SDR calling, it happens for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. So it will not be of enough value.
Correct. It's very short.
Hence,
Yeah.
it's very short. Hence, we did not opt for Gong. And Zoom Info is only used for data mining. Intent that we purchased, we have gotten rid of it.
Okay.
So, what was it about the mind shift, though? What did you do to get your team to stop thinking about leaning on these other systems or other processes as you were starting to do that? What did you, as a leader, have to do to help everybody? Let's think of it this way instead of the way we've done before.
Exactly. So it was my team who came back to me and said that is not working. We have been working extensively into the data that you gave us, but it's not working. That's when we decided it's better to integrate everything that we have. For example, we run multiple campaigns, right? So if we have the website integrated to the tool that we have, for example, Zoom Info has an option where you can integrate your website with Zoom Info.
Mhm.
So the moment you run any campaign, any particular company walking into your website, you will get those insights. That
Mm.
was instead more helpful for us rather than
Hmm.
going behind intent because this was the real time data that we were getting. We are launching campaigns and we get to see those companies visiting our website, which means definitely there is an interest. This, in
Okay.
fact, was of more value rather than intent at any given day.
And from a sales leadership perspective, what metrics or what outcomes really mattered to them in terms of coming back to really the first question, in coming back to believing in the forecast? Because we know that there is a forecast, but there is always a 10-15% fall through that happens through the forecast. And that's what worries the sales leaders all the time.
See, for any sales leader, Jay, the most important factor is definitely quantity. The more they get, the
Mhm.
better it is for them to build a pipe. But
Mhm.
with the quantity, when it comes to quality as well, we discuss every week that out of 10 calls delivered, which went well, which did not go well. So if we see that the higher percentage of the call did not go well, we go back to the campaigns and analyze where the gap is. It could be the way we are doing the outreach is not right. It could be the data that we are targeting for that specific campaign is not working. It could be anything. So we go back, understand where the issue or the concern is, fix it, and then that's how every week, whenever we get on a sales call, the calls are extremely productive. We understand that which campaign for which data is working and whether the SDR outreach is into the right direction.
All right, I'd like to pivot a little to the technology side of things. You mentioned several technologies that you're using, and you did, sounds like you've customized Zoho set up with a strong set of guardrails. But I wanted to ask you, what tech decisions have made the biggest difference in how your team manages revenue execution efficiently?
See, Zoho is the Bible for any sales people to see what is happening with all the deals, with all the leads. So we hired a specialist who is a master, if I can say, in Zoho. He has made a lot of changes and automation. For example, integrating from your Outlook calendar to making sure every call notes automatically gets pushed in to the lead that happens post every call. Every deal conversation that happens should automatically be there on Zoho. So these changes have really helped us because imagine we have so many client calls happening every quarter, right?
Mhm.
If we do not have the details of it, we will never understand what the conversation was. And if we have to do it manually every time, it's a pain. So these things have been done in such a way that the seller is just doing his work and the system is automatically pushing all the informations needed.
And then,
All
so
right.
for capturing
Go
the
ahead, Tim.
calls, what technology are you using? Are you still using Gong for the salespeople, but not for SDRs?
We are in the process of getting a tool that will help us analyze because our CEO is extremely interested in different tools. He
Mhm.
wants us to be as productive as possible with various kind of integration possible, right? So we are thinking to get it, but so far we do not have. We record the calls via Teams, so it helps us at present.
Oh, great. Okay. And I think it would be foolish not to ask you in this AI age that are you guys using ChatGPT or what role it is playing in your outreach strategy, in your account mining strategy? And could you share maybe a very concrete example of how this AI has really shaped your day-to-day workflows or team outcomes?
Oh, absolutely. Imagine managing 23 people and having multiple queries, whereas you do not have anything, whereas you can get immediate help. But with AI, especially ChatGPT, things have become like a piece of cake. Initially, I remember I had to sit with every SDR to even draft an email to the client, even to draft every campaign. Imagine now, pick up an account, tell ChatGPT that this is the account that you would need to target, which are the titles that we should go after, and what is its specific value prop that we should be pitching. And so you have the answers in front of you. You really don't have to do anything. So AI is honestly is a miracle in our space, especially because you are able to automate so many things and people are self-dependent with messages, with campaigns, with instant spontaneous replies. So I think this is the best that I have seen so far in my journey, which has changed a lot of things.
All right. I totally appreciate that. And one of the things that I've noticed is that we may not have uncovered is that you've implemented a lot of systems and processes. And even just training 23 people on how to use ChatGPT is enough of a thing to deal with. All right. One of the things I sensed a theme that we didn't bring up, although it was revealed, was as you've implemented variety of technologies, made changes, added AI into the sales process, there's a consistency of creating consistency through management that you seem to have tapped into. I'd love to hear about how you developed that and how did you execute that on a regular basis to make sure you could get 23 salespeople to pick up a new technology and do it consistently?
So, see, Steve, a person becomes consistent when you get to see results happening, even in normal life. You become extremely focused when you see things are working in your favor. So, when I started my journey here at Altudo, things were working in my favor months after months, year after year. I had a lot of people vouching for me. That's when I decided that, okay, I have to be on my toes to make sure that things are happening into the right way or in the right direction. We hired people. Initially it was 12, then 15, and currently we hired like 11 people in a span of just say 6 months. So in order for us to make sure that all of these hirings that has happened is being executed properly, it's important to have those processes. So if you do not automate a lot of things, if you do not implement a lot of things, it will not happen. Also, every senior SDR that we had in the team, we gave them three junior SDRs. It's not technically possible for me to have direct conversation with each one of them every day to understand what they are doing, what the struggle is. But if all of them has a mentor, so a mentor and a mentee process really worked for us. So every junior SDR was given a senior SDR. So the senior SDR is technically called a mentor. So he's motivated to drive results because he's getting so much to learn while training people, and that has really worked for us.
That's wonderful. I love that. As
That's
a trainer myself, I think that brings me joy to hear that happening.
And we do typically, I think in software development, this is a very known strategy to build the skills, we call it. So we take junior people, we assign them to see a senior person. Typically, it is 1:2 or 1:3 ratio. And then this senior person starts giving them small work. And as they pick up, then he comes and tells, oh, this guy is ready. Now he can really be,
Yeah.
completely on the project.
And
But yeah.
exactly. And Jay, it actually also helps to have that kind of a bond in the team. Plus,
Mm,
the mentor is so motivated to share his success story
mm.
with the juniors. It is really working in our favor because they
I never
enjoy working
thought.
together. The day starts, they
Mm.
are excited.
No, I never thought this whole process can really work with SDRs. It's very nice to know
Yeah.
that you can actually take, because you can't hire all A grade SDRs. It's just not practically not possible. And
Not
as you
possible.
said, it's not even possible to monitor everybody. So if it's a team of 20 plus people, it's very hard to monitor each and every person. So the structure you have created is actually very productive, I believe, and something that a lot of people can learn from.
So, last question, what type of advice would you give to other sales leaders as they're trying to navigate the current situation and the near future as best as we can see it?
Steve, in my journey, I have understood one thing, that it's ultimately the people, if they are happy working with you, results will automatically come. Work as a team, work as a family. At any given point, do not make them feel that you are their superior. That will automatically happen. A lot of times I see around with my peers, with my colleagues, that they really struggle to build a large team because there is so much of conflict happening, ego
Mm.
clashes, stuff like that. So it's important to value everyone that you have in your team. And my retention rate in my team is, touchwood, amazing. We don't get to see a lot of people leaving because we value them. We are
Awesome.
connected to
Mhm.
them emotionally. People say don't get emotional at workplace. I said, why not? I spend 8 hours. I spend 8, 9 hours with them.
Yeah,
If I don't get
yeah.
emotional with them, if I do not know their backstory, how do you imagine us to connect?
Oh, yeah,
So I
yeah.
would suggest every sales leader to treat your people well. If they're
Mhm.
happy, trust me, things will automatically happen.
Wow, what advice that is. Because you're absolutely right. And more companies we see, especially that we are seeing so much of layoffs, neither the employees are engaged with the company, nor the company is engaged with them. It is like cutthroat. Did you meet your number 2 quarters? No, you're gone.
And
And
that's
if you have
bad.
that kind of mentality, it might be good for the books for some point, but then hiring a person and getting him to speed, the cost is very high. So ultimately, you're losing out. Instead of taking a person, what you said, understand where he comes from, train him, make him part of the team. understand his backstory, and he also feels that, so my team structure is actually a trust structure, right? Not a team just because we work together. We are a team because we trust each other. And I think that is what you're trying to actually say, that build that trust in your team and treat everybody. That's a brilliant advice, I think.
And give them wings to fly. Give them wings to fly. Appreciate their ideas. Try to execute them as much as possible. Make them feel valued. At the end of the day, apart from money, the second
Hmm,
thing that we all need is appreciation. If that is
absolutely.
happening, I
Hmm.
think each one of us are motivated, whether it's
Oh yeah.
me, you, any one of us in the room.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I so appreciate that. My first boss told me that what happens at work stays at work and what happens at home stays at home. And it was the worst advice ever. When I
Absolutely.
became a manager and people's lives were outside of work, were in total chaos, they brought that to work in their sales. And I was like, yeah, they are integrated and they have to be accepted and they have to be dealt
Absolutely.
with. And if you deal
Yeah.
with them, people will run through walls for you. And it was really funny. I was like, that was great advice because it was terrible. And you're definitely
Yes.
demonstrating that how valuable it is to really integrate and care for the person and for their performance.
And I believe in the fact that people don't leave companies, they actually leave their bosses. So have that environment where they feel like turning on their laptop and start working, where they feel like communicating, where they feel like, okay, every day I need to do my job in the most best way possible to drive results. Give
Brilliant.
them that space.
I love it. Thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure, Sushmita, for having a conversation with you and hearing about how you are architecting revenue over at Altuda. And we look forward to seeing your success in the future. And we just appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you so
much.
much.